Hello there. This is my second health and wellness video, and I hope you enjoyed the first one, and if not, I hope you enjoy this one at least. I think once again we go back to my kitchen table where I often do my reading. And imagine I'm sitting there and I'm reading an august magazine, the same one as before really, I think, the New England Journal, and I come across a World Health Organization report from Geneva. And essentially what they were doing was updating a previous report from 2000 about world health and more particularly what was happening in America as far as its health was concerned. 2000 they reported that in overall provision of health for their population, the USA, even though it was spending far more than any other country per head, nevertheless only ranked 37th in the world overall for health provision for its population as a whole. That meant to say that an awful lot of the population were getting practically nothing or very little, and one can only imagine that the remainder were taking the rest. And then an update in September 2009, so I mean this is very current, showed that the USA was still the biggest spender in the world by far, but even so slipping even further down the table and had now reached 39th place overall. In 2006 they still were spending a great deal, but had already slipped to 43rd in the table for average adult life expectancy, which is incredible. There are only 191 countries that are covered by the World Health Report. To think there were 42 ahead of them in female mortality, that's dying. And actually, if you're a male and you're taking some comfort from the fact it was only the females who were dying, I'm afraid to say the news is almost as bad. They came 42nd in average male life expectation. When it came to children, they were also extremely high up the list. I think it puts them somewhere like one place above Uzbekistan. I mean, they're really down amongst the dead men when it comes to averages. And this, mind you, in September 2009 publication. I think the figures were probably only up to 2006, but I think we've no reason to believe that it's getting better quicker in America. If anything, it's getting worse faster. For example, back in 1974, America started off more or less level pegging with countries like Sweden and Australia. They've gradually pulled ahead and improved, and America has gradually slipped behind further. Is it any wonder then that the Americans are asking themselves, how on earth can it be that we pay out all this money and seem to get so little result from it? I think we're asking ourselves the same question, really, after the injection of £30 billion of taxpayers' money in the last 5 years, is it, or was it 3 years, that Gordon Brown is so very proud of. What's worse, as far as America is concerned, the amount they spend has gone on increasing practically exponentially. It's growing much faster than the cost of living grows, and it's growing much faster than gross national product and so on. And it's now so large that it is beginning to impact tremendously on the American economy as a whole. If medical costs grow into the trillions, what do you stop doing? Do you stop building roads? Do you tax people to death? Do you stop educating people? What are you going to cut back in order to spend this ever-increasing snowball of money that the Americans seem to be spending? I think there are big lessons to be learned by everybody. I don't think we should just try and poke fun at the Americans. They've got a serious problem here, and it's a serious problem in France and Germany. It's a serious problem in Japan. It's a serious problem throughout the world, and it's a serious problem in the UK as well. Spiraling medical costs are really a major problem. How to contain them so that there's enough left for children, education, old people, and just about everything else is really, it's a big problem for all Western governments and all over the world. And with an aging population getting more and more ill as they get older and older, and with more and more people suffering from Alzheimer's disease, for example, dementia, we all do have a huge problem that we absolutely do have to address. So what could America do about things like that? And come to that, what might we do better? In America, for example, there are a huge number of what one can only describe as preventable deaths. What do I mean by preventable deaths? I mean deaths that we already could prevent with medication, like, say, hypertension, or deaths from human behavioral problems, alcohol consumption, for example. Smoking. Smoking is thought in America to account for 465,000 preventable deaths a year. Well, that's a huge number. Hypertension, which after all we can treat very well these days, there shouldn't be any preventable deaths from hypertension. They should all be prevented. But despite all that, they reckon that 395,000 deaths a year occur because of hypertension and its effects. Obesity, once again, I mean, is that your problem out there? You're the one who's doing the eating after all. Or is it mine as your doctor? Well, you know, we could play cat and mouse with that one forever, but the truth of the matter is that obesity alone is thought to cause 216,000 preventable deaths a year in America. These are all figures for America. Inadequate physical inactivity. I'm not suggesting everyone goes jogging around the block, but a brisk half-an-hour walk, at least 3 times a week, would certainly begin to make a difference. It would be the thin edge, perhaps, of a fatter wedge later, but the truth of the matter is, physical inactivity because we're sitting in front of the TV or sitting in front of the computer, or we're busy playing computer games which really don't exactly exercise us very much. So physical inactivity is thought to cause in America 191,000 preventable deaths a year. And please don't imagine that we're that far behind. We do all the same things. We're not that different. Having high levels of cholesterol, particularly the bad cholesterol, LDL, is thought to cause 113,000 deaths a year. I added them all up because unfortunately the article in the World Health Authority report didn't actually add it up, and it comes to 1.57 million deaths a year. I mean, that's astonishing. However many people the Americans might be losing in Iraq or Afghanistan, it's a drop in the bucket compared to 1.57 million preventable deaths that they're losing in their own country. It's staggering, isn't it? If they could even halve that figure, and how do you halve that figure? How do we halve the figure for obesity? How do we halve the figure for physical inactivity? How do we halve the figure for smoking? The government can't do that. It's not in the hands of the government to do those things. The government can't eat less, and I don't suppose they will eat less anyway. Nor for that matter are they likely to smoke less. They'd like you to smoke less. And as far as physical inactivity is concerned, what can they do? You're the one who's sitting on the couch watching the TV, and forgive me saying it, watching this video. You're not burning a lot of calories doing this. We should be checking it. Your doctor can do what he wants, but the fact of the matter is if you don't go to him, how can he check it? It's up to you to make sure you get your blood sugar checked. It's up to you to make sure that you get your cholesterol level checked. How many of you have had it done in the last year, or even 2 years? And things do change, you know. You ought to get it done, I would think, maybe once a year. That's the least you should be doing for yourself. I really do believe that the British people, and I'm sure any other people come to that, if they really knew the facts, and if the facts were presented to them in a sensible way, they would respond. And I've pointed out there's nothing really that the government can do to force people, but I really do think that if the facts are presented, I still have faith that we the people will do the rest. This was supposed to be a short talk, I might say, but I think some of the facts I've told you there are just staggering, and I wanted to share them with you. Thank you for listening if you have.